corruption is also a problem that will have a negative impact on the development of the country. This is because when this crime occur in the organization, then it will cause the management system to be less efficient and unorganized. If the symptom of the corruption become more prevalent, the administration of the country as a whole will also be affected. Any policy or enforcement become weak. Law enforcement cannot be carried out fairly and can bring down the economy of the country in the general. For example, rather than employing someone based on their individual talent, a politician or head of a company just give their brother or someone from their village or ethnic group a job simply because they are close to them. This situation will not help every industry to be open to all industry players in order to be competitive, as well as create employment opportunity and boost the national economy. Therefore, in modernization theory, national policymakers should understand the issue of economic and social development in creating policy that would assist economic and social transition in poorer countries, because modernization theory underpins the idea of development as growth, with modernization defined as linear path toward a developed industry society. Economic development through industrial transformation would lead to economic growth, allowing poorer countries to catch up industrial countries. But this idea is hard to be achieved by a country if corruption still happens in the country. And this is the reason that corruption is the biggest and the most serious issue, because if the government cannot maintain their integrity in the leadership, then it will cause the country political, economic, and social activity can also be affected. We also must remember that the government is an entity that is responsible for developing their country and not a tool for making a profit to satisfy their personal interests.
While corruption manifests itself in a variety of ways depending on the nation, this year's result shows that all parts of the world are at a standstill when it comes to combating public sector misconduct. Countries in Western Europe and the European Union, who are at the top of the Corruption Perception Index (CPI), continues to struggle with openness and accountability in their reactions to COVID-19, threatening the region's clean image. Increased limits on accountability measures and fundamental civil liberties in sections of Asia-Pacific, the Americas, Eastern Europe, and Central Asia allow corruption to flourish. Corruption is a big issue in Malaysia, though not the most pressing. According to the recent Merdeka Center poll, 51% of Malaysian respondents feel that government top priority should be eliminating corruption. That shows that at least half of the citizens feel that corruption is our most serious problem. Our former Prime Minister, Dr. Sri Najib Razak, is at the center of one of Malaysia's most serious corruption crises. Najib Razak, a former Malaysian Prime Minister, has been found guilty of several corruption charges related to the multi-billion dollar state investment fund 1MDB. Najib might spend decades in prison, but the legal system is slow. Najib Razak is the eldest son of Malaysia's second Prime Minister, Abdul Razak, and the nephew of Malaysia's third Prime Minister, Hussein Onn. With the elections of the Pakatan Harapan government in 2018, Malaysian anti-corruption efforts received a major boost. The Pakatan Harapan government was elected on the promise of a clean, accountable, and transparent government, which resonated well with the public in the aftermath of the 1MDB scandal.
Private sector corruption erodes country development like economic development and investment. It is happening through unfair competition. the bribe-paying corporation enjoys an unfair edge over its competitors, whose goods and services will be ignored. While some corporations are willing or unable to pay bribes in order to obtain an edge, others are not. As a result, corruption stifles competition since businesses that refuse to accept bribes are likely to be shut out of the market. Next, the corruption happens through inflated costs. Because of the lack of competition induced by corruption, consumers may face higher pricing and lower quality goods and services. For example, a corporation that already pays bribes to sell its products may believe it is unnecessary to engage in innovations, new technology, people training, and other activities that might increase its productivity and product quality. Lastly, it is happening through societal impact. Corruption in the business world can have disastrous consequences for the environment and human rights. Module 7 of the E4J University Module Series on Anti-Corruption is a detailed overview of how corruption undermines human rights. While in public sector, it is happening as a result of private individuals attempting to improperly influence government decisions or function.
There are several major factors that contribute to corruption, including economic development and modernization. Contractors compete for tenders in this case of modernization. This is due to the fact that seizing the opportunity will allow them to profit greatly. As a result, profitable development projects will cause them to compete for tenders, increasing the opportunity for corruption. In other words, the system of corruption are increasing because they want to get tenders, pass penalties, and expedite payment of office operation. Next is low salaries has been an incentive for civil servants to involve themselves in corruption. After civil servants think that the salary provided by the government in the public sector are insufficient, not to mention when they make comparison with salaries provided by the private sector. The problem of public salaries being considered low is a traditional assumption that is still held to this day. Thus, corruption is a very easy way to earn extra salaries, and the public sector is one of the most vulnerable sectors. The cost of corruption at that time was assured due to low salaries. Furthermore, the availability of space and opportunity is a factor that contributes to corruption among civil servants. According to Putusan Online on April 11, 2016, 398 civil servants were arrested in Malaysia for corruption. In comparison to 2014, this represents an increase of 173%. The increase has nearly doubled, implying that the symptoms are becoming more severe in our country. This is due to an excessive devolution of power without intelligent oversight by his superiors, resulting in a lot of room and opportunity for acts of corruption or abuse of power. Individuals can easily take advantage of this lack of sensible oversight and vulnerability in the work execution system to preparation, malpractice, and abuse of power. In this case, the most vulnerable party in corruption activity are immigration, custom, police, DPJ, and official with the authority to approve certain documents. Therefore, the authority or the government should take some effective action to address this increasingly serious problem as well as produce individuals with integrity. Thank you.
Corruption is a global issue that affects everyone. In recent months, Lalita Kururatnam, an activist and investigative journalist, has drawn attention to a corruption scandal involving the MACC, or well known for Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission. A demonstration was held on middle of the January to draw attention to what has now become a national problem, with the marches organizers gaining support from 33 non-governmental organizations and 11 political parties. After hearing about this gathering and demonstration, I set out to identify the publications that have been referenced in it. In the course of reading the pieces, I discovered that Malaysia has lost 5 places to number 62 in the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index 2021, which evaluates 180 countries based on their perceived levels of corruption. Malaysia was ranked 57th out of 180 countries in 2020, earning 51 points out of a potential 100 points for its performance. Malaysia's collapse must be addressed soon if the country is to have any chance of survival. Corruption has a negative impact on societal development, so corruption must be tackled and addressed.